To understand where we are going, we must remember who we were and who we have always been. Ancient African proverb. In Japan, I was stunned to discover that certain ancient sarcophagi are identical in structure and design to those from ancient Egypt. We're not talking similar, we're talking exact. And this isn't supposed to be possible. After all, Egypt and Japan were, according to mainstream history, totally unconnected civilizations. But here's the twist. In 2016, renowned Chinese geochemist Professor Sun Weidong quoted a description from China's most revered ancient historian, Sima Qian. In his first-century record, Qian describes the Xia dynasty's homeland with a curious detail. Northwards, the stream divides into 9 rivers which rejoin and flow into the sea. Now that doesn't describe China's famous Yellow River, which runs west to east. But there is one river in the world that flows north, divides, and then empties into a sea. The professor asked his students, "Which river flows north?" And someone whispered the answer, "The Nile." History isn't just about remembering facts. It's a process of rediscovering ourselves. While people get excited about the Vikings possibly landing in America before Columbus, there's an entire body of evidence, richer, older, and more widespread, that proves Africans traveled eastward. They seeded civilizations in Asia, even reaching far off Japan. Yes, we're talking beyond Egypt, beyond Carthage, beyond Mesoamerica. We're talking a global black presence in the ancient world. And it's time we tell that story with clarity, evidence, and pride. Let's start with a key distinction. There are civilizations that originated in Africa, and then there are those influenced by Africa. Seeded, if you will. Saying Africans helped start a civilization doesn't mean others weren't capable of building, but the roots matter. Foundations shape everything, and often those roots trace back to Africa. This episode, part of our Without History series, is dedicated to the suppressed narratives, the truths buried under layers of colonial academia. Our mission is to unearth these truths with evidence, integrity, and love for our collective past. So back to Professor Sun. His research didn't just uncover linguistic similarities. He analyzed ancient Chinese bronze artifacts using radiometric dating. To his surprise, these items didn't chemically match Chinese metals. No, they matched Egyptian bronze, down to the elemental signature. That means the technology that ignited China's Bronze Age wasn't local. It came from Egypt. How do we explain that? Coincidence or connection? Now let's head further east, Japan. In his groundbreaking book, Encounter with Logos, Eric Stahl shows that ancient Egyptian and Japanese languages share dozens of core words with the same pronunciation and meaning. For example, the word for house is ka in Egyptian and minka in Japanese. Not similar, identical in linguistic root and cultural function. Still think that's coincidence? Stahl's conclusion: there's simply too much overlap to ignore. And since Egyptian language and culture are older than Japanese, logic tells us which one influenced the other. Now here's the bombshell. Archaeologists in Japan have discovered sarcophagi that mirror those from ancient Egypt in every dimension. Same design, same symbolic architecture, same internal structure. These aren't imitations, they're copies. And it doesn't stop there. Genetic research reveals that the Edo people of Nigeria, known for building the Great Wall of Benin, share genetic markers with the Japanese that no other Asian group carries. Let that sink in. Language similarities, art styles, architecture, burial practices, even calendars, all show signs of direct African influence. The Edo of West Africa had the maritime skill, culture, and political structure to reach Japan. And apparently they did. And as we zoom back into China, let's talk dynasties. There were 3 foundational dynasties in early Chinese civilization: the Xia, the Shang, and the Zhou. The first 2, Xia and Shang, are described in ancient records as coming from the West. The word used for them? Na-Ki. Translation? Black people. The Shang dynasty in particular is where things get visually undeniable. Ancient Chinese art and artifacts from that era repeatedly depict black African features. broad noses, full lips, coiled hair, and high cheekbones. These aren't vague representations. They're clear, detailed, unmistakable. Chinese texts even tell us that the mother of Emperor Xuan of Jin was a black woman named Li Lingrong. People called her Kunlun, an ancient term used to describe black people in Chinese literature. More than 1,000 years later, records mention entire black nations within ancient China. The Book of Rites from the Zhou dynasty describes them clearly. Their people are black and oily-skinned. These aren't modern interpretations. These are direct quotes from ancient Chinese scholars. Skeletal remains across southern China, in provinces like Shandong, Sichuan, Yunnan, show Africoid cranial features. According to C.K. Chang of Yale University, the earliest Chinese dynasties, predating even the Longshan culture, were built atop a population with African traits. Even the names of Shang kings reflect this origin. Tang Wang, meaning Black King, and Tang Di, meaning Black Emperor. And what about writing? Chinese script and Egyptian hieroglyphs both use logograms, visual symbols representing words. The similarities are astonishing. From the sun to the child symbol, we see nearly identical characters in both systems. Even the structure of writing, top to bottom, is rare worldwide but shared by both Egypt and ancient China. Calligraphy, writing as an art form, reverence for the scribe, all of that too echoes Kemet's sacred relationship to the written word. And yes, pyramids. There are over 100 pyramids in central China, some even larger than Giza's. These structures, mostly built during the Xia dynasty, align perfectly with the time that Africans are known to have traveled east. In fact, after World War II, a U.S. pilot named James Gaussman reported seeing a massive white pyramid with a gem-like capstone in China. That record was classified by the military for 45 years. Coincidence or cover-up? The Chinese also practiced mummification. Lady Dai, preserved from the Han dynasty, is one of the best-kept mummies ever found, a tradition eerily similar to Kemet's afterlife rituals. Sarcophagi, board games and tombs, even the belief in the soul's journey. These weren't native Chinese traditions, they were imported. In the Shaolin Monastery in Hunan Province, you'll find ancient murals of black Shaolin monks practicing kung fu. These weren't isolated anomalies. They were respected, documented figures of the temple. And then there's the viral story of Osazuwa, a Nigerian student in Tokyo who introduced himself, only for Japanese students to tell him his name. Osazuwa was not only Japanese but historic, tied to Edo, the former name of Tokyo. Edo, also the name of his people in Nigeria. Edo, also the name of Japan's longest-standing imperial dynasty. Even the Japanese word for moon, Suki, has an Edo counterpart, Uki. Both cultures use the same word to describe beauty. Both use the greeting Dor or Demo for elders. How much more do we need? When Chinese geneticist Jin Li set out to prove Chinese people came from a unique ancestor, not Africa, he ended up proving the exact opposite. He found that all Chinese people descend from Africans. Every single one. Let that sit. Ancient Africa wasn't just a region. It was a civilization complex. It gave the world agriculture, architecture, language, law, and leadership. And it sent waves of travelers, explorers, teachers, kings, to the corners of the earth. Their legacy lives in China, it lives in Japan, and it lives in all of us. History doesn't need to be rewritten, it needs to be remembered. If you made it this far, thank you. Your support makes it possible for us to share this history. Check out the description for sources, and if you're able to contribute to our work via Patreon, Buy Me a Coffee, or crypto, it helps us access more research and push back against historical erasure. Like, comment, and most of all, share this with someone who needs to hear it. Because one thing's for sure, history gets a lot more interesting when you take racism out of it.